All right, everybody, we got a nice guest for us lined up today. One of the participants of Jules 42, and she's been on a couple times before. We have Anouk. Anouk, how you doing?
I am okay. I'm nervous.
How's the weight cut going?
The weight cut is, I'm not sure. Like my weight has been fluctuating a lot, and I think it has to do a lot with water retention. Or as a matter of fact, I know it does, but it always makes me nervous. And then like a few days before the fight, my weight always drops. So I know I should be fine, but for now, I'm still working working hard on keeping the weight down.
And you actually were telling me something a little interesting before. You're saying that there's like a new weight allowance going into
Yeah,
this fight.
yeah. So I thought so. Like when we were like determining this fight, I thought it was going to be like the same day weigh-ins, which is always the case for amateur fights. Um, but then as had already started my weight cut, they were telling me that actually it's the weigh-ins the day before. And also, there's like an extra 500-gram allowance, which is apparently a new rule because, as some of you might know, like recently there's a fighter who died in
Mhm.
Shootal because when he was doing his weight cut. So because of that, like the other organizations also decided to kind of like, you know, kind of show
Sure.
that they're trying to prevent this kind of stuff from happening. So I was told
Right.
that that's the reason why they are now allowing like 500 grams over. So now
That's
instead of
interesting.
having to be 52.2 on the day of the fight, I now have to be 52.7 or under the day before the fight.
It's interesting because I think Deep Jewels kind of use the JMOC, like the Japanese like referee organization that also does Ryzen.
Hmm.
And I think they recently went to like a big rules meeting in Colorado because they
Hmm.
were there with Shingo, and Shingo presented like the Rising rule set to the like North American Athletic Commissions.
Hmm.
So I wonder if they kind of got the idea about, because point five, I mean 500 grams is like essentially 1 pound. So in the US, outside of title matches, they also have the 1 pound allowance in the non-title matches. So it seems like maybe they're getting closer to the unified rules. Kind of
I think
interesting.
Race already had this rule, and I think I'm
Oh,
not
interesting.
sure. I thought Deep Pro fighters also had this rule, but I'm not sure. I think for Deep
Okay.
Pro fights, there was always this rule where, I mean, I'm not sure if it's okay, but at least if it's not more than 500 grams over, then at least your fight will not be canceled. But if it's a title
Okay.
match, you're more than 500 grams over, or like what? No, if it's a title match, then you can't be over at all because then like the title match will be like
Yeah.
um
Well,
just
they do the weird thing where it's like you still fight, but you have no chance of winning, and you get two red cards. And even if you get a finish, remember that there was a famous, the first ever the first ever Deep Jewels strawweight champion
uh-huh.
was Emi Tomimatsu,
Yeah.
won the title by getting armbarred by Mizuki Inoue, who missed weight. And so she was disqualified. So she won the belt by getting submitted. It was like the weirdest result.
That is weird. Like I think nowadays what they do is if you're are I don't know about the specific rules regarding like title matches and stuff, but if you're I was told that if you're overweight and it's so for amateur, for instance, if you're like 3 kilograms over, that's like dangerous. So like
Yeah.
you're not allowed to fight. If it would be like a pro fight, you can like negotiate with like the fight
Mhm.
money.
Yeah.
But then if you're over like a certain amount, then even if you win, it will be like a no contest. So
Yeah.
if you win, it will be no contest for both, and if you lose, you will just lose. Um,
Yeah. I feel like there's sometimes like a lot of pressure from promotions or gyms to like take the fights. So there's like weird negotiations that go on.
mm,
I think yeah, there's been some like weird instances of like behind the scenes punishments because, as people may know, Japan doesn't really have an athletic commission. So it's kind of up to the promotions to suspend people or not give them fights for a year if they miss weight a bunch of times, which
really.
has happened. Yeah, I think King Reina was famously kind of put on the shelf after missing weight a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but So you're kind of nervous, but in a couple of days, it sounds like you'll drop a couple of kilos and be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I should be fine. It's just like it's been such a long time, and I haven't been able to prepare as much as I
Mhm.
would have wanted to because I'm also preparing for like moving and then like
Yeah,
there's all this sort of stuff happening. So it's like very different situation preparing for this fight compared to when I was preparing for like my fight, like my last fight 2 years ago and the fights
yeah,
before that. So like I'm preparing in a very different way and it should be better, but I haven't been able to test it out.
yeah.
Like before my injury, I used to have this really, really crazy schedule because I was doing my PhD. So I would like wake up at like before 7 in the morning and then work until like 6 in the evening or 7 in the evening, the cycle to like cave and do like 4 hours of practice until like past 11 p.m. and then get home at midnight and then like I don't know, maybe sleep for 5 hours if I was lucky and then repeat that and then like
Hmm.
go on Saturday mornings and then go back home and then go Saturday evening again and go Sunday as well. So like I wasn't really taking many breaks. So
Hmm.
and I've been working really hard on that. So I've been working on my general health and like more
Yeah,
healthy kind of lifestyle. So it should be better because I should be less tired than I was, less chance of injury compared to
right.
2 years ago. But then also it means that, you know, I do practice less uh
Mhm.
essentially than I was before. And that kind of makes me nervous because there's so much stuff I still want to practice. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't practiced this. And what if she gets me with this move because I didn't like practice how to defend it or something. It's kind of like you're never really ready
Yeah, what's
on the
good.
field.
I'm always kind of nervous when the fighters aren't nervous. Like when you see fighters that aren't nervous going into a fight, kind of wonder if they're overconfident or something sometimes.
Mhm.
So, for those that don't know, I mean, you injured your ACL a
Yes.
while ago. How
Yes.
long have you been back training at 100% since the injury?
It's hard to say 100% because actually, since the injury, I've been more aware that because I'm training with boys who are
Hmm.
much bigger than me, I just have to, you know, take a step back in order to be able to like practice confidently without feeling scared of injuring myself. So sometimes I will you know, just let go and tap out instead of like trying
Yeah,
to like, desperately like
not trying to gum on.
yeah, if I feel like I don't know if I could probably if it was a fight, I would probably go for it here. But now I'm like, well, I don't know if my leg's in a weird position, and if I push it here, maybe I'm gonna like, injure my something.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. That brings up a good question. So I've interviewed some women that don't want to train with men at all.
Hmm.
Like I've talked to Mizuki Inoue, who's like her brother went to go train at this gym in Florida, but she's like, they don't have any women there. I only train with women. And then you have some women who train at gyms where they're essentially the only girl at the gym and they train with a bunch of men. So you're kind of in the boat where you train with exclusively men. What's your kind of thought process on the what do you think about like the different mindsets, like the girls that want to train with women and then the ones that just only train with men?
That's a very difficult question. But like if you asked me this question like 2 years ago, I would say like, no, I prefer training with guys.
Hmm.
Because one, it's easy to train with guys because I can go all out without them injuring themselves, because
Right.
they're bigger, they're heavier. So even if I go 100%, it's not very likely that I will injure them.
Hmm.
So I don't have to hold back. I didn't have to worry about holding back.
Right.
So, um, but on the other hand, if you go 100%, they might also tend to feel like they can go a bit harder because they feel that
Yeah.
I'm going harder on them, which increases the risk of injury, especially. So I think, I mean, it would be ideal to train with a girl who is strong. Because my thing is, I would ideally want another, girl that's like my level. Because if it's someone, even if it's a guy that's my weight, there's still going to be like a difference in strength.
Right.
But if it's a girl that's my weight, most of the girls are not like the same skill level or the same strength level. So then on the other hand, I'd have to go very, very easy on them because I'd
Right.
be injure them. And that's also very
No,
annoying.
not beneficial for you to like train with someone who you're having to go easy on all the time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it would be nice if I could do both because sometimes I just want to go hard and I want to train that mindset of like, okay, because if I fight guys, because they're much stronger, like basically I can't win, I can't beat them, but that kind of triggers this kind of like instinct of like I have to survive, I have to
Mhm.
fight for survival. And that's I think the kind of instinct or the kind of feeling that I'm looking for going
Right.
into a fight. So it's really good to prepare for a fight
Mm.
by practicing fighting with this mindset and of being scared also because like it's kind of scary sometimes because you're like they're strong,
Right.
but on the other hand, if you do that all the time, like it's just your moves are gonna get weird because you're like you're doing the right move, but because they're too heavy, like you
Right.
can't move them the way that you would probably move a girl of your same weight.
Mhm.
So that's when you would want to do some training with girls that are your size, so that when you do move, you actually get a realistic image of how someone would move in reaction to your move. And some of the
Right.
guys are very, very skilled at imitating that. They can like adjust their power and their strength to kind of make it realistic for me,
Mhm.
but most of them can't. So that's what makes it different
Interesting.
training with guys.
I think the strongest argument I hear from the women that want to train with women is they kind of say that like the physiques are very different
Yeah,
and that like women tend to be more flexible, they move different,
yeah,
and so they would rather work with someone. But there's also like the realistic situation where there's only a couple gyms in Tokyo that have more than 3 women of a high level training there. And
yeah.
so unless you want to train with a bunch of like amateurs, you're gonna have to train with men. So it's kind of this weird situation. But yeah, thanks for I'm always curious about that because I meet both. Like Seika Izawa trains with men, almost
Mm,
exclusively with men.
mm,
But then you get like Mizuki Inoue who trains exclusively with women. And they're both like
mm,
very high caliber fighters. So it's
yeah.
kind of interesting to see the difference of opinion.
You just need a good training partner, It could be men or women. Like before I got injured, there was this guy who was like amateur
Mhm.
flyweight, but he was like, I guess, kind of weaker. He was like kind of lanky. So like it's kind of
You're like putting him down. You're like, I had this weak, pathetic guy in my class that I could train
no,
with.
not at all. But like compared to the other guys, they're like just like this bunch of muscle,
Oh yeah,
like
the
shorter
guys that
than
you're
me,
like, was it you train at cave, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so like all those guys look like Akita, they all look like gorillas, they all look jacked.
Yeah, like now there's not any like
Mhm.
lanky people. And I think because now recently there's this one guy who just joined who's actually exactly the same weight as me, exactly the same height as me. And like I did 2 rounds of sparring with him. That was such a breath of fresh air. I'm like,
Oh, very
okay, finally
nice.
I can actually lift. I mean, there's still significant difference in power because he's
Right.
a guy. Um, but this is something that is still like not too far out of reach. Like if I fight any
Mhm.
of the other guys, I'm like, okay, there's no way I can ever even get close to to
Yeah.
beating them. So like it's very because like this guy is kind of like, slim but muscular.
Right,
And
right.
that's easy for me to fight. So if you have like it doesn't matter if it's like a boy or a girl for me. I just need someone who's like similar power level,
Yeah,
similar kind of build, which makes it easy, just to have, yeah, someone that kind of simulates what your opponent might be.
interesting. And so going into this fight, your opponent is the famous one half of the famous Sarah versus Sarah battle. I
Yes.
think we just decided to call her Foodie Sarah when we
Mm-hmm.
spoke to her on the podcast. But so, any thoughts on your opponent going into this match?
Um, she's got a strong punch. I think like she's a strong kickboxer. She has a background in kickboxing. She's been pretty active in the years that I've been recovering from my injury. Um, I think definitely we are I think this is going to be a well matched fight as in like it could go either way, I feel. So I feel like, if I do what I need to do correctly, I can see myself beating her. But also if I'm not careful and I slip up, then I might be KO'd by her or something like that. So like it could really go either way. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. But like I do that is for me, that's a really good feeling to have because I I think it's for me, I prefer to be a little scared of my opponent because that
Right.
gets the right motivation and the right nerves going to like go all out and like actually,
Yeah, like gives you like the healthy respect that you need to.
yeah.
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 Mhm. Yeah, I think her first couple of fights in Deep Jewels were actually like amateur kickboxing bouts.
Yeah.
I think she was doing kickboxing before she switched over to MMA.
I actually
Right.
saw her last kickboxing fight in what is it, Korakuen Hall? That was
Yeah,
just
that's
before
right.
I had my first MMA amateur fight. So I think we switched, or at least she switched and I started MMA at the same time.
Interesting. Have you guys ever trained together or anything like that?
Never, no, never spoken to each other. So
I guess I was just thinking that the population of English-speaking foreign female MMA fighters has to be a small group in Tokyo, at least.
speak
Might
English.
have been a chance. All right. Yeah. So outside of your guys' fight, we're going to skip a couple. And we are going to talk about the main card with Andrew from We Are Rising podcast and Anouk now. And the first fight we're going to talk about is Hikaru Aono versus Yuko Kiryu. So for those that you don't know, Yuko is kind of returned to Deep Jewels like, relatively recently after fighting in the One Warriors series for a while. Just turned 36 years old. I think she recently opened up her new gym, which her opponent also did. Hikaru Ano opened a gym with her husband, Shuta Watanabe, who recently retired. So congratulations to him. But they also have their own gym near Kawasaki. It's kind of interesting. I've noticed more and more fighters opening their own gyms across Japan. But yeah, so we have this battle between two veterans. What do you think about the fight? I'll start with you, Anu.
Mm, it's a difficult one.
Yeah,
I don't know, I feel like Hikaru Ano has been like on a losing streak, although recently she won against Kate Lotus.
right, right.
And Yuko Kiryu seems to be really kind of, I would say, on fire. Like she's really, really wanting to come back. Um, I kind of feel like I'm trying to imagine this fight, and I kind of feel like it's gonna be like quick, speedy, light-footed from like Yuko Kiryu's side, and then it's gonna just be like heavy trying to take down from Hikaru Aono. And
Mm.
I'm not sure who's gonna do better. If
Huh,
she gets taken down, I just feel like the size difference.
that is true. It
Kiryu
is
has
worth noting. I think this might be one of Hikaru's first fights at 52 kilograms. Wait, I think
mm,
the last fight at 52 kilograms. I'll double check.
the last fight was I
Was
think
was
48.
not. It was at super atom weight. So
Yeah,
I think this might be one of Hikaru's first, if not first, one of her few fights at straw weight.
yeah,
And even at atom weight, she was like a very short fighter,
yeah.
like a stocky wrestler build. So I mean, Yuko is going to be a lot bigger than her going into this. What do you think
She's
about it, Andrew?
Sorry. I think is I don't know. I'm hesitant to call Hikaru Ono a veteran at this point. She's still like not that's still not that old. I don't know. I feel like is she? Do we consider her a veteran at this point? I know. I mean,
Fifteen
Yuko
fights in. 15 fights in.
Kiryu has 20-ish fights, I believe,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. I mean, did she? I don't know. I think Kiryu is I don't know. I
Would
think
it
she's a
be
little bit.
would it be polite to call her a grinder? Like not a lot of finishes, just a lot of kind of grueling, grinding against the cage, kind of grappling.
Yeah, she's just been she knows how to get fights done, I guess you could say. She knows the quote our good friend J Wolf, she knows the assignments. Is it always the most exciting way to get to ace the assignment? No, it's not. But she knows how to win. Um
I will say, before her loss to Hume, she was coming off of two split decision wins. So I mean, she has kind of like mastered the Ben Henderson art of like barely stepping across the finish line.
but as I look at her record now, I got her record up finally. I realize that it seems like her main weakness for the most part seems to grapplers was she lost to Moray Suda Moray how do you pronounce the first name? Moray
Moetti.
Moray, sorry. Moretti Suda in the last fight, and then you brought up that split decision. That was Emi Tomomatsu and
And Manhoof.
Manhoef, my favorite fighter. I don't know. It seems like like high level grapplers seem to be her Achilles heel, and we all know that Aono is a probably atom weight. I would say third or fourth best grappler. So I don't give that much of a chance to tell you the truth.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying because Auno, her grappling is just like essentially wrestling, but it's very good. Her wrestling is very good. But to the Yuko stuff, I would say that I wouldn't say that she's weak to grapplers. I think the last two fights kind of show. I think she's weak to really aggressive fighters because Hime went out there just to like punch her head off, and that's pretty much exactly what she did. And Moetti Suda just goes for submissions nonstop the entire time until she gets one.
Yeah.
So Hikaru Ano is like not that aggressive with the submission. I mean, she's good at submissions. She does do like jiu-jitsu tournaments, but I kind of think I can see this one going like a decision win for Ano.
Mm-hmm. If we're gonna play the what is it called? MMA math, if you believe that. I noticed that they both have fought Tomo Meisawa, and Tomo has beat them both, but has not finished Aono. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, the fighter who has the misfortune of being nicknamed Chomo.
Yes.
Doesn't understand the English meaning of the word. Yeah, no, I think Tomo, what she like guillotine choked Hikaru Ano in her retirement bout. So
yeah,
Hikaru's kind of this weird fighter where like her wrestling is so good, but she's kind of like a young Miyu Yamamoto where she was like still prone to getting submitted after she takes people down. But I mean, I just don't know if I can see Yuko doing that.
Actually, I'm sorry. I want to ask Charlie. Does she still go by Hikaru Aono? Did she take Shuto's name?
She goes by still goes by Aono.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think I've ever really noticed a Japanese fighter change their name after getting married. Have you noticed anyone change their name when they get married, Anouk?
No, I don't think so.
Especially when they have like a built-up reputation already.
Would be a weird move, I think.
It's not as big a thing in Japan. I think a lot of people in Japan don't really even do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If they do change their names, they might not. They might just like keep their old name just because they don't want to inconvenience others by having to change their names.
Well, I mean, they have like the family registry form that they file, but I think like a lot of them, like in their professional lives, kind of like keep going under the old name.
Yeah. Compared to the West, I think they do.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, so prediction. I would say I think Aono is probably the favorite to win. What do you think, Andrew?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what like what Kiryu is going to what she can do to.
But to Anouk's point, Kiryu is probably going to be a lot bigger than Aono going into this.
But it's interesting you did say that, but then I remember that the Aono and lost. I mean, excuse me. I picked K Lotus to beat her based on size, and that didn't wind up at all being a factor in that fight. So
yeah, that's because K Lotus. That's because K Lotus can't wrestle.
Yeah, but I don't know because I have to. No, I still have to err on the side of Aona. I just think is better in all aspects of the MMAs.
With a win here, do we get a chance of maybe seeing Hikaru finally get to Rizin?
Is that a joke? That's like a running joke at this point. Where I
they put it in the Rizin Confessions videos. They have the storyline ready.
They do. I almost I want to say I gotta say no. I feel like I don't know why. I feel like there's something going on. It just seems so odd that by this point she has not been invited to Rizin. I don't know. I don't know.
It's almost as if they like kind of skipped her because Seika Izawa and Oshima were like newer than her and kind of went to Rizin. And now they have Machi going over.
I'll give a final thought on this. I think it sounds like I don't know. She's in a weird position where so Ryzen when they want atom weights or most of the time female fighters they tend to go with the younger ones. But the older ones like Miyu are like well-known names, veterans and all that. And Ono is kind of like in a weird in between where she's not too young but not too old.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's the reason why they haven't or
Good point.
they're hesitant.
It's a good point because there's like the two templates that Rising wants. They want like the young cute fighter,
Or
or they
international
want
fighters.
or they want like the proven like established champion who's like
Yeah.
won abroad. Yeah,
And she's kind of like yeah, if you look at all the Iron Weights that they've had, Akana obviously was dominant Ryzen, Ayaka, obviously. But yeah, Ono's kind of like is I don't want to say mid-tier because she's not mid-tier, but she's kind of like stuck in the middle between that what they are looking for in a fighter.
well, I think the last thing I'd say about that is I think the problem is that they've given her several chances to kind of elevate herself to get to that rising stage. Like the clearest example was when Deep Jewels had the atomweight tournament. It was like very obvious because Rising has their super atomweight division. The winner of the atomweight tournament's probably going to be on Rising's radar. Sakakibara came to the event like he was watching, and Saudi Ashima won that tournament. Saudi Ashima fought in Rising. So I mean, it's kind of obvious there. And then like Tomo Miyazawa, she kind of had like this moment where she could have like done this passing of the torch where Tomo Miyazawa, who fought in Rising, fought her in the retirement bout, but she lost that bout. So she's kind of had these chances, but has kind of stumbled on them. Anouk, who would you say? I know you're not as familiar with these two, but which do you think's going to win?
I mean, I just think Hikaru Aono is going to be just bulky big.
Yeah.
So I think Yoko Kida is going to try, but I just don't see her moving all that mass once she gets taken down, if you know what I mean. I mean, even though it should be the same weight, but
You're saying like once she gets down, you think they're kind of being stuck down?
yeah. So if Hikaru Aono just does her thing and takes her down, then I think she's gonna pound out or something like that. Maybe get a submission. I don't know.
Yeah, she's yeah. It's kind of weird because her loss to Morisuda and Oshima were both like very good opponents, but Aono's definitely still a fighter to keep an eye out for. Okay, the next fight, speaking of which, we have Moedi Suda versus Kate Lotus. So we'll start with you on this one, Andrew. What do you think about Moedi Suda versus Kate Lotus?
Whew. I'm still getting to your question that you sent me, Charlie. And one of the people who I said was one of the unsung heroes of Deep Jewels modern era was Kate Lotus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Explain.
I do believe I think her personality is she has a very likable and an attractive. I don't mean like I mean obviously I think she's a very good looking woman, but I think like her personality and her demeanor is very attractive. I looked at some of her interviews, and while I don't know what she's saying, I understand what she's saying, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so you kind of like the atmosphere. She has like a bright personality.
Yeah. And I know, and you told me at shows like she's always staying after to like sign autographs or whatever, or something with sponsors or something.
Yeah.
So she understands, the promotion part of fighting. However, being with that said, I will say that she has improved. She has generally tried to improve since she first started, because when I used to watch the shows on Spawn or whatever it was called, well, I don't know what it's called, SPWN,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and the few that I could watch on their Deep's YouTube channel. Oh man, she was not that good. She was borderline like if it wasn't for her size and maybe just her I'll definitely categorize her as somebody who's kind of just like genetically athletic, or she at least seems really athletic. I don't know if she did. I don't know what her background is, but she seemed to have done like high school sports of some kind. Am I wrong, or
She was a bodybuilder before she switched over to MMA.
that was it? That was a bodybuilder. So yeah, athletic, all that stuff. With that being said, I mean, unless she just plans to lay on Suda for this 3-rounder, right? It's 3 rounds or 2 rounds.
Ooh, that's a good
Right.
question. Let me check. I have it all pulled up. My gut instinct would be 2, but let me check. It is a 2-rounder.
I don't know. I think that Suda's too smart of a fighter to fall into that trap. Plus, like you said, she's always spamming the
The armbar.
button. Yeah. And she always has a way to like get it for some reason, for somehow.
Yeah.
Fighters never just, they never see it coming. I have to err on the side of Suda. I mean, I know that Suda lost the last fight that she had
Against Park.
Yeah. And she got knocked out, but I don't know. I can't see Lotus even with her size being able to do that. I think it's another armbar win for Suda.
I gotta say, I think her record is kind of deceptive. I think Moetti Suda is a very good fighter who's like improved drastically between each one of her fights. Even her last fight where she lost by knockout, that was because of kind of like a stupid mistake where she got caught being kind of lazy and threw a knee and got countered with an overhand right as she was throwing the knee. And before that moment, she was like essentially dominating that fight, in my opinion. So her striking looks to be getting a lot better, which is kind of scary considering like how good her grappling is. Because her dad is a jiu-jitsu coach down in Osaka. It looks like she trains with all the Osaka girls. So she trains with like Kuriyama and she trains with Arisa Matsuda. And so she's like training with good girls down there. She's obviously getting a lot of jiu-jitsu training from her dad. And like she just will never stop throwing up arm bars. I think in the Hikaru Ano fight, she threw up like 7 or 8 arm bars. And the scary part about Brazilian jiu-jitsu is they only one of them has to land, and then the fight's over. So yeah, and I think she can beat Kate Lotus on the feet. I think she can beat her on the ground. I think she's a very aggressive fighter. This is only a 2-round fight, so Moetti's going to be really aggressive. And what she likes to do is kind of like rush people with strikes, get them against the cage, and then force a grappling exchange where she either gets them down or she pulls guard. And I just don't know how Kate Lotus is going to handle that. That's just my thought process. I will say, random side note, Kate Lotus is working as a trainer now at Seika Izawa's gym, another fighter who recently opened their own gym. I think Seika and Koro opened a new gym called Roy's Gym, and Kate Lotus is one of the instructors there. So, but what do you think, Anouk?
Yeah, I would like to see Kate Lotus do better, but I feel like she's a very, very skilled fighter who should be doing better in fights, but somehow during fights, I think I've said this before, but during fights somehow like it just doesn't come out. Like I think she has a lot of skills from what I've seen on videos, like interviews, like videos of her training and stuff, but I don't know, during a fight she always seems to, I don't know, lose her confidence or in some
Heard
ways.
another fighter describe her as being too nice during fights.
Maybe,
like
yeah.
that.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, I mean, I think this one probably Moetti Suda is going to win, but I like to say that maybe Kate Lotus has finally found that spark and is going to show off all that she's got, even, when she gets, because I do expect that Moetti Suda is going to like take her down somehow.
Yeah.
Like if Kate Lotus is going to win, it might just be some surprising sort of, I don't know, crazy footlock, something that no one expects from the ground. Or she's just gonna completely lose by armbar or whatever Morisudo's gonna throw at her.
I
That's
think
my prediction.
Kate Lotus's biggest handicap is not having a martial arts background because she's going up against. I know that like Morisuda started training because of the pandemic, but I think she said she's been training jujitsu since she was young because of her dad. And then you have fighters like Hikaru Ono, who's been like wrestling since she was like 5 or 6. Saudi Yoshima has been doing judo since she was 4. Izawa, who's been like doing I think since 3. And so you like Kate Lotus is just gonna have a hard time, I think, against any of these grapplers who have 23 plus years experience taking people down. Because like in her last fight against Hikaru Ono took her down whenever she wanted to. Now Moedi Suda's not a wrestler, but she's also not afraid of just pulling guard or some kind of something crazy. But Kate Lotus will probably be, I think her strength going into this is Saudi Yoshima showed that you can kind of like big sister Moedi Suda. Like she's still kind of young, still kind of like growing physically. And Kate Lotus is like quite strong. So I could see her being able to like maybe keep her in a position and use her physical strength. But yeah, I think Suda's gonna win by submission probably. It's too bad too, because Kate Lotus is like clearly trying very hard and is training very hard.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, next we have a fun matchup that I actually wanted to see. We have a Siwoo Park versus Hime. And I was actually calling for this because I wanted to see this fight because they're both such like devastating strikers that this is one of the few like high level striking bouts you can make. Because Deep Jewels has like so many high level grapplers. It's kind of fun to see this high level striking bout. So we'll start with you, Anouk. I know that you're a big fan of Hime. What do you think about this Hime Park fight?
I'm a big fan of both.
I'm sorry. No offense meant. No offense meant.
Like Siwoo Park is like my, how to say this, is gonna sound really crazy coming from me, but like if I ever get to that skill level, that's the kind of fighter I want to be able to fight, you know? Siwoo Park. She is like just strong, scary strong. So, but I think this fight, I think probably Siwoo Park is gonna win. I think Hime is very skilled, but like in a similar way that Siwoo Park is. Like she's good at striking. So I think this is going to be striker versus striker, and if that's the case, I think Siwoo Park just has so much more experience, so much more confidence. She's just gonna, even though Hime is probably gonna, try and maybe keep her distance or beat, get some striking in. I think Siwoo Parks is gonna, she's just such a well-rounded fighter. I mean, I'd be happy with either of them winning, but I think Siwoo Park's gonna win this one.
Let's see if you agree with this. I would say I think Park is the faster fighter, but I think Hime is the stronger fighter. Like I think Hime's punches hit harder than Park's punches.
I see what you mean. Yeah, maybe that is possible.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew?
Sorry, as I'm cleaning up my bubble tea here.
No,
I bought last night.
Very cultured of you.
Yeah, no, it's not a connection. I swear to God, it's not a connection. It was just drunk me ordering bubble tea, and not finishing it. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, wasn't you, Charlie, who said that for Siwoo Park that for somebody who's a striker, she doesn't have a lot of like striking finishes? Was that you who said that about her, or was that somebody else?
I've always described Siwoo Park as having what I call TKO power.
Yes, that was it. Thank you.
She has the power to like stun people, but she doesn't have like one punch lights out kind of power. Unless, I mean, if you throw a head kick, it doesn't matter who's throwing that, but her punches, which she tends to be a puncher more than anything, she's more of a TKO fighter, where Hime lit Yuko Kirio up in their last fight. That was a devastating finish. And she dropped Oshima several times in their bout.
It's, I got to see a lot of how Park does when she fought in the Grand Prix. And I mean, again, she's a fighter who I guess I'll say knows how to get the assignment done, and at the behest of making an exciting fight or even going for a finish.
I'll say I think Park has learned that her weakness is her grappling.
Yeah.
And ever since the second Saudi Oshima fight, where she dropped Oshima when she went in for the TKO finish, she got trapped in an armbar and submitted. I think Park kind of decided to like never risk it again. And so she's
yeah.
taken like a very cautious striking from the outside counter striker approach, especially in her rising fights.
I wouldn't know if she has to worry about that with Hime. I don't think Hime is going to come in like Moray Suda and submit her.
But I mean, Hime hits really hard.
I kind of almost want Hime to. Yeah, she does. I also feel bad because she got really screwed over when Machi did the fake glove tap. I believe that was her, right?
Yeah, that was her.
Yeah, I really feel.
You got to do what it takes,
bad.
Andrew. You got to do what it takes to win.
I know. I hate. There's nothing more that I hate than the fake glove tap and to a takedown, whatever. I almost kind of want Hime to get that win back, just to get a win, just because I felt so bad for when that happened. No, I do think that. I think that when it comes to MMA, Park is the much more is a much more well-versed fighter, I think. So I would just have to pick Park based on I think she knows how to make this fight go the way that she wants to go and get that win. I don't see either of them knocking each other out though. I think that's the problem. That's the other problem you have when you have two people who are known for striking. A lot of times they don't wind up striking. That happens more often than not. And I feel like this fight might go that route, especially like you said, Park, is hesitant about grappling. I don't know. I think both of them might be, hesitant to stand and bang.
Are they both left-handed counterpunchers? So we might just get a lot of circling in this fight.
Oh God, that's even so they're both southpaws. That's terrible. That's really bad. That's really bad because they're not that's
circling each other.
They're just gonna be circling each other, and it's gonna be that's very rare as well. I think that's very rare to be two southpaws. I don't keep track on who's a southpaw and who's orthodox in Japan.
I may be wrong, but I think both of them are southpaws.
I hope one of them just comes in with a different plan. Just like, okay, the other one's southpaw, I'm going to come in orthodox. I really hope so, but that probably won't happen.
Now, I will say, Hime in her last fight not her last fight, but her fight with Yuko Kiryu, has made it clear that she wants to fight in Rizin. And so she came forward much more aggressive, going for the kill almost immediately. And Siwoo Park, I think a lot of the pressure is on Hime, because if she wants to go to Rising, this is the big chance. This is the big name opponent for her to beat. Where Park just kind of might feel like she just wants to do that thing where she kind of stalls in the corner and then lets go the last couple seconds of each round. But it is a 3-round fight, I will say that. You're muted, Andrew.
I'm sorry. 3 rounds of circling, that's gonna be great.
I think Hime will be more aggressive.
I know. Hime is not fought in Rizin, I believe.
She's not, but she wants to. She also released those badass pictures on Twitter where she's dressed like the old Japanese feudal lord with a pipe and everything. Yeah.
I mean, everybody says that they're gonna be a different fighter in their next fight, and so they're fighting the same way. I don't know. I'm always unless I see it, it's gonna be. I really can't. I don't know. This fight can be really boring. I'm really worried about now. I don't know. This fight doesn't have me as excited, especially both of them coming off a loss. That's the other thing. I get I don't know. I'm thinking about all the what ifs, and I feel like one of them is gonna that's one of those that's gonna be a hit in this fight, and it's very rare for a positive spin, especially for two two southpaws in a fight like this.
Now, that's true. It does have potential to be boring because, like, anytime you get like a specialist versus a specialist, and it's the same specialty. I mean, it's the same thing when you get like a BJJ guy against a BJJ guy. It turns into like a weird kickboxing match. But
Oh hell,
it
well,
also does
listen,
have the
I will.
potential. It does have potential for fireworks though, because I mean, if Park is faster and she figures out she's faster, I mean, she could throw some big combos, or if Hime is able to actually like land one on her, because I kind of maintain we haven't really seen Park fight outside of Rena, who is kind of a weird striker because her best punch is like a body hook. So it's kind of like not very traditional against like another left southpaw, very strong fighter. It'll be kind of interesting to see who comes ahead. But yeah, should be fun either way. And then let me see. I believe the next fight is the main event. We have Amp the Rocket making a quick turnaround to face Aya Murakami. What do you think about this fight, Andrew?
A quick turnaround after getting demolished by Izawa. I admire her. I imagine I do.
Well, you have to
Applaud
admit
Amps.
that was really weird matchmaking because Amp the Rocket, the microweight champion, and it was like we're gonna put her in and get 52 kilograms. But yeah, I mean,
I guess they were hoping.
Amp almost beat Ayaka Hamasaki.
Uh
Didn't she have like a submission?
oh wait,
locked
no,
on?
she got. Oh no, okay. I remember that fight now. That was her first fight in Ryzen. I remember that.
It
Yeah.
was.
She had an arm bar, but like it was. Ayaka's smart. She knew how to like defend. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if Ayaka maybe slipped or fell, and then yeah, the arm. Yeah, I mean, in
Well,
what way? I mean,
I will rephrase that she momentarily had Ayaka Hamasaki in trouble.
I don't know if I'll even say in trouble. It's she I'm surprised she was able to slap on an armbar on Ayaka, but I'll give her that.
Amp's
And
a
then
very Amp's kind of a weird fighter though. She's like a very aggressive from coming from Thailand. She's like a very aggressive jujitsu girl.
and it's weird because isn't she like marketed as the best or one of the best jiu-jitsu players from Thailand?
Which I don't know what that means because I don't know that many
I
jiu-jitsu people from Thailand.
As is that like being the best ice skater from Jamaica? I don't know. But I mean, she does win. She does win by submissions. I have to.
Well, I mean,
I
she is very explosive on the ground, so I think she's way more physically athletic than Murakami.
and also the other thing as well. I mean, it was early in her career. She does have a win over Loma Lukbunmi, who's in
UFC
UFC.
fighter.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I guess it comes down to who's the. I don't see this fight being decided on the feet. I see this fight being decided on the mats.
I don't know because
Really?
I am Murakami is like no joke on the ground. She's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yes.
So I don't hesitate. I mean, I don't think it'd be weird to think that Amp might try to strike with her for a bit.
She could try, but is Aya? Sorry, not Aya. Aya, excuse me. Aya gonna allow that? I don't think Aya's gonna allow that. I think Aya knows that she can win that easily on the ground.
Yeah, Aya has shown in the past a very strong willingness to pull guard, to pretty much do whatever it takes to get a fight to the ground. What do you think about this fight, Anouk? Have you seen the two fight before?
I have seen Murakami fight before. I'm not a
Yeah,
big
because
fan of
Amp the
her.
Rocket's probably kind of weird for you because I think she wasn't able to come to Japan because of the
Yeah.
pandemic.
So like I haven't seen her fight because like I've been in Japan from just before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Started MMA.
Well, she is the Deep Jewels microweight champion.
Yeah.
And she is a very kind of a, she can get submit. She's like this kind of glass cannon who like can get submitted, but she's also very explosive with submissions on the ground herself.
I mean, like it's hard for me to say anything, but just going from I don't know. And it's gonna sound really rude of me to say that because I think you both kind of also like Murakami, but I feel like Aya Murakami is kind of like a one-trick pony.
Hey,
Like,
she slapped the shit out of Andrew. Andrew still can't remember how to get home.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
yeah, no, I don't know. I just think, I mean, I don't enjoy watching her fights very much because that's just my opinion. I like fighters who like go in and like go fight for it, and I don't like fighters who just like, I'm gonna go for a takedown because this is where I can win, which is a good strategy to go if you want to go for the win, but for me it's not very interesting to watch.
Come on. I'm I'm much more of a connoisseur. I like the I've gotten to the point where I'm like back to one. I like specialists. I want like the Damian Mayas of the world, where it's like, if this guy doesn't get it to the ground, he's fucked. But if he does get it to the ground, it's going to be amazing. Or like the what is it, Satoshi Soza would be a more modern example, I guess.
I just want to see a fight. I want to see them fight for their lives.
You just want to what the guy say in the UFC, Andrew? Just let me bang, bro.
Yeah, something like that. Just let me-
No, I think just going from impression, I think Amp the Rocket could potentially knock Aya Murakami out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Aya Murakami is probably just gonna like be focused on, I need to go in and get it to the ground because she's gonna be stronger there, I assume. But I think Amp the Rocket is probably the physically stronger fighter. And if she's smart and she keeps her distance, and then you're gonna have something like Hime versus Saori Oshima, where Saori Oshima desperately tries to go in for a takedown and just gets punched to pieces by Hime.
I don't know if she's stronger, but I think she's clearly more athletic. So I think she moves better on her feet, at least. Yeah.
I don't know much about her. Like, again, I haven't seen her fight, but like just going off the impression.
I would say I feel like Ant the Rocket is like the epitome of like the Hail Mary. Like she just like goes for crazy stuff, and if it doesn't land, it's like devastating for her. But if it does, she wins.
It's the kind of fight I like to watch.
Yeah, exactly. She goes for it. I mean, she went up 3 weight classes to fight Seiko Izawa on short notice. So it's the kind of fighter you're getting. Interesting. So
I don't know if I can agree. I saw squeeze fruit to make juice. I don't know. She might be the stronger one. I have to
I mean,
I
they're
have
all
to say.
strong. They're all incredibly strong.
I think the big X factor is Amp the Rocket's like athleticism and like her explosiveness. But if it gets to the ground, Murakami on paper should be the better. But that's a big if it gets to the ground. But I think the big question that's on all of our minds that we all want to talk about is Anouk's fight image and why you're the only one where it's the same image twice. It's just reversed. Like it's just the mirror image of the picture.
Save me, it's so lame.
They have to have another picture of you.
Oh, okay, look, okay, so I'll tell you how this went. Okay, so there were plans to take pictures. Deep photographer is going to take pictures for the fight poster and stuff. This was before the fight poster and everything was made. Then Deep photographer had to cancel. I don't know why. So like they were going to take pictures before when was it? The fight when Koyomi-san, Matsushita Koyomi-san was fighting. Koyomi. Remember the big guy, and then like his opponent like got stuck on the airplane and could make it. It's a deep event.
I don't remember this at all.
Anyway, the weigh-ins for that event was supposed to be when they were going to take my pictures. Then I got canceled, and they were like, "Oh, we'll take new pictures at some point." So I was like, "Okay, fine," because like they only have that one picture that I sent to them like 3 years ago for my first amateur fight.
But at least they mirror imaged it. At least they mirror imaged.
At least they tried, but like, okay, so like I thought, because I talked to like the manager of Cave, and he's like, "Yeah, they're gonna take pictures at some point." I'm like, okay, because I was like, yeah, I mean, my friend took some really cool pictures of me, of like fighting poses, so they can use that for the time being. Oh, it's okay, Deep will take pictures. So I thought he meant like, okay, they'll take pictures again at some point before they make the actual poster so that they can use it. And then suddenly there's like, hey, there's the poster, we announced it. I was like, hey, how about I send you these pictures that my friend, because I looked at the image, I'm like, this is so lame. Like, this is my face mirrored. It looks so unprofessional. Like,
It
I'm
kind of
like,
looks like you're looking at yourself.
I want my, like, I don't know. I felt really sad because I'm like, okay, I'm fighting for the first time in 2 years. Like, I want it to look cool, you know, like, and I have these pictures, like, you can use them, no problem. Why didn't you just, like, ask me? And so, like, then I asked, like, I sent them the pictures and I was like, okay, so, like, you can use these, no problem. And then they were like, no, because of copyright reasons, like, we can only use the first picture you sent. And after that, like, all the pictures have to be taken by deep official photographers or we can't use it. I'm like, nah.
Oh no.
The only one stuck with this lame picture because the photographer canceled.
Well, little do you know, we're gonna print this out and have you sign a couple and then give them away to fans as part of a giveaway.
Please take pictures of me. I'm available at your convenience.
Well,
Please.
I mean, Sayaki-san is like a photographer. He took pictures of some of the fighters for magazines before.
Nope.
You just gotta get Big Shake to take some pictures.
I mean, my friend took really nice pictures, but they can't use it because it's not the deep photographer. So it's just for copyright reasons.
That is
They
interesting.
won't allow because like I send them like really professional pictures that my friend took of me. I was like, okay, they use this is cool, but they're like, no, we can't.
And they
We don't
can't fix it because now you're going abroad for at least a year, right?
What?
Now you're going abroad for at least a year.
Yeah. That's why. I'm like, why don't you like I don't know. Like I'm like they can only use deep pictures, but then I'm like, please take pictures of me then. I'm available whenever you need me, but then they don't take pictures
Yeah.
of me. So I'm
Uh,
sad.
This is the second time where Deep's been in a photo scandal.
Well, what's
What?
the other scandal?
Remember the Victor Henry photo?
Is that where the belt?
Well, no. So Victor Henry, when
Is it wait,
so
is it the UFC where they just keep photoshopping the same belt and arm onto people on the website?
no, even worse. This is so Victor Henry when he was in Deep, when he had his fight, I think it was against Montoya. So there's a very I don't know what they told him. I forgot what he told us, but he's making a very it looks like it's a face of like him taking a dump. Like he has like his face is all scrunched up.
Yeah,
It's a very
very intense.
it's a no, it's like it's parody intense almost. And I think he had one more. Was it? I'm trying to think if he had. Yeah. When Ryzen, you know how Ryzen, when it does a thing where that fighter hold, they hold the picture of the
Oh, yeah,
foreign fighter who's not
the
there.
guy can't attend the press conference.
I believe they used that photo at like the press conference. So it's just like in England, they call it a Gurn face, a Gurn, Gurn.
I
So
did not know that.
it's not the first time that Deep has been a part of Photogate.
I swear the UFC had some problem with like Carl Usman or something where they just like kept using the previous champion's arm in like
Yes.
all of the pictures. All right. Well, so I believe that is it. Anouk, closing. What's the fight besides your own that you're looking forward to the most at the 10th anniversary show?
I definitely want to. I hope I don't get injured or anything so that I can't watch the rest of the show. But like, I definitely want to see Park Shu versus Hime. I definitely want to see that.
Who wants to see the two giant strikers go at it? What about you, Andrew? What's the biggest, most interesting fight for you on the 10th anniversary show?
Can I ironically say Nori versus Saito?
You can say that because that girl is from Breaking Down. No, she's not. No, she's not. It's a different fight. But no, it's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. The girl that Nori is fighting is Karen's training partner at Team Palestra.
Oh wait, so Saito is now at Parasha and she's fighting Nori. Oh really? I didn't know
Prepare
that.
for the fight. She's training with Karen, who is
Nori's
sister.
Well, they are sisters. They are sisters supposedly. So I'm always interested in fights where there's like, oh, this person has 12 fights and then they're facing somebody who's making their debut because
But I will say the girl did beat Machi in her amateur fight in her amateur
That's
career.
true. That's true. I don't know what the fuck else he's done, but I mean,
Yeah.
she has a win over Machi. And listen, Nori is
Hey,
is
we will not
not-
tolerate Nori bad talk in this podcast, sir. Nori is a wonderful lady who was on that eating TV show that was hilarious. She ate like
Oh.
6,000 calories or something crazy.
Okay. Well, let's hope, I'm kind of very, very curious to see how that fight goes, quite honestly.
I mean, say what you will about Nori, she throws like crazy question mark kicks and like hook kicks, so it should be fun while it lasts.
Hmm.
Her last fight was really weird though, that Nirvana fight. Yeah. And for me, I guess I will also give what I think the fight I'm looking forward to the most. And I will naturally exclude Foodie Sarah versus Anouk because she is here. So I won't consider that one when I'm thinking about the one I'm the most excited for. Off the top of my head, Moedi Suda versus Kate Lotus is a very interesting fight. And if Moedi Suda wins, I could see her easily going to Rising again, as she is the exact type of young fighter that they're looking for. And yeah, that's what I think. It is the 10th anniversary show as well. So congratulations to Deep Jewels. They are the longest running all women's promotion in Japanese history now. So congratulations to them. And I got to say, the shows just keep getting better and better. So here's to 10 more years. Thank you. Oh, and Andrew, sorry, you plug. Go ahead. Andrew, can you plug your stuff?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, sorry. We are Rising Podcast. YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, no longer Stitcher because Stitcher is gone.
It is
But
gone.
mainly YouTube. We at WeAreRizin Pod. And also I do write stuff for MMAsucker.com. So just keep an eye out for stuff like that.
And Anouk, where can the people find you?
Me, I'm mostly on Instagram as Firefox, PHAIAFOX, or just by searching my name, Anouk Rossen or Ainuku. You'll probably find me somewhere there.
And if you want to watch her fight and you are outside of Japan, you can become a member of Deep's YouTube channel and watch the event live or afterwards at your convenience. And with that, see you all later.